Imagine two small boats speeding through dark waters, engines screaming, closing in on what they think is an easy target, a slow, unarmed cargo ship. But what they don't know will change everything. Instead of a helpless freighter, they've set their sights on the most powerful warship afloat, a nuclear-powered aircraft carrier bristling with thousands of sailors, fighter jets, and weapons that could stop any threat in its tracks.
Where are they?
Port quarter. 1.7 miles, Captain.
They thought they had found an easy target, a slow-moving cargo ship, ripe for the taking. Two small boats, known as skiffs, packed with armed Somali pirates, sped through the dark waters of the Gulf of Aden. Their engines roared as they cut through the waves, heading straight for a large shape on the horizon. This was no ordinary vessel. It had no flag, no lights, just a massive steel silhouette sitting quietly in the night. From the pirates' perspective, this was likely an unescorted freight ship, a prize worth attacking, but they were wrong. Within less than a minute and a half, that silhouette revealed itself to be something far more formidable than any cargo ship. It was a floating fortress, a U.S. Navy nuclear-powered aircraft carrier, the kind of ship designed to carry the most advanced warplanes and more firepower than many countries. This was not just a ship, it was a symbol of overwhelming military strength and technological superiority. And the pirates were armed with small arms like AK-47S and RPGs, common weapons for maritime raids. On the other side stood a crew of around 5,000 sailors, supported by sophisticated defense systems including radar-guided missiles, Sea-Whiz cannons, and a strict no-tolerance policy for any threats in their vicinity. The situation was no longer a simple pirate raid. It was about to become a sharp lesson in naval power and precision. From the perspective of the aircraft carrier, the threat was detected early. The ship's radar system, highly sensitive and continuously scanning the surrounding waters, picked up two small, fast-moving blips. They were traveling at high speed with low radar signatures, and there was no AII, automatic identification signal, which usually means the vessels were not broadcasting their identity or position. This kind of behavior is typical of suspicious craft and often linked to pirate activity. Inside the Combat Information Center of the USS Dwight D. Eisenhower, the situation quickly escalated. Operators immediately called out the contacts. Two small craft bearing a specific bearing and closing in fast. The ship's officers didn't hesitate. They understood the implications. In this region of the Red Sea, fast approaching small boats without identification usually mean trouble. On the bridge, commands were clear and swift. Communications were sent across the ship, the flight deck was to be notified, and an NH-60R Seahawk helicopter was ordered to launch. The carrier, despite its enormous size and reputation as a powerhouse, is not a slow or unprepared target. It was already fully alert and ready to respond. Within 2 minutes, the Seahawk helicopter was spinning its rotors, lifting off from the deck. This aircraft isn't just a chopper. It's a vital part of the carrier strike group's defensive strategy. Equipped with a door gunner, radar systems, and sensors sharp enough to identify even small details from high above, the Seahawk raced toward the incoming threat. Meanwhile, on the flight deck, the crew worked with practiced efficiency. There was no pause or confusion. Different teams, identified by colored shirts, carried out their tasks seamlessly. The yellow shirts cleared the deck, the red shirts checked and loaded weapons, and the green shirts waved through another helicopter on standby. The system was highly coordinated. Every crew member knew their role in defending the ship. Back in the Combat Information Center, the radar showed the two skiffs splitting up, a classic pirate tactic to divide and confuse defenders. One boat changed course, while the other kept heading straight toward the carrier. The captain gave a straightforward command: maintain course and let the attackers commit. The Navy's strategy was to monitor and control the situation without overreacting immediately, to avoid unnecessary escalation while remaining fully prepared. The Seahawk pilot reported visual confirmation of the hostile posture. One of the pirates was even seen standing upright on the skiff, holding what appeared to be an RPG launcher over his shoulder. This was confirmation enough. The threat was real and dangerous. Despite the escalating danger, the carrier and its strike group did not panic or rush into action. The carrier itself was the nerve center of a much larger force. It was not alone. The USS Dwight D. Eisenhower was accompanied by a full strike group, including destroyers and other vessels, all working together to protect the carrier and maintain regional security. On one of the accompanying destroyers, the USS Gravely, boarding teams known as VBSS, Visit, Board, Search, and Seizure teams, began gearing up. These teams are highly trained in maritime interdiction operations and equipped like floating SWAT units, complete with body armor, automatic rifles, and flashbang devices. Their job is to board suspicious vessels and handle hostile situations decisively. The Navy was calm but ready. They weren't waiting to be attacked. They were preparing to respond in the most effective way possible. The pirates, on the other hand, were unaware of just how much force they were up against. From their vantage point, it was still just a large ship on the water, vulnerable and easy to board. From the Navy's perspective, it was a well-coordinated defensive network closing in. As the skiffs got closer, the Seahawk lowered altitude, the door gunner preparing the M240 machine gun, but holding fire for now. The goal was to demonstrate strength and control, a warning shot without lethal engagement. It was a clear message. This is U.S. Navy territory, and you are not welcome. But the pirates didn't back down. One stood up on the skiff, aiming the RPG, making their hostile intent clear. At that point, the Seahawk radioed back, hostile confirmed, weapons in hand, continuing intercept. Meanwhile, the destroyer launched two 11-meter RHIBs, rigid-hold inflatable boats, each packed with VBSS teams ready to board. The situation was now fully under the Navy's control. They had eyes in the sky and boots ready to act on the water. Throughout this entire encounter, the aircraft carrier itself remained on course, maintaining its speed and operations. The ship did not need to fire a single weapon because the layered defense of the strike group, combined with overwhelming naval power and the precision deployment of helicopters and boarding teams, was more than enough to handle the threat. This is the reality of modern naval operations. An aircraft carrier isn't just a large ship. It's the center of a complex network of vessels, aircraft, and personnel designed to protect not only the ship itself, but the broader strategic interests of the United States and its allies. And what started as what the pirates thought was an easy opportunity rapidly turned into a clear demonstration of naval dominance. The radar systems, rapid response aircraft, trained boarding teams, and coordination between multiple ships made it impossible for the pirates to succeed. The Navy showed how advanced technology, disciplined crews, and coordinated tactics come together to neutralize threats before they can even get close. The pirates' misjudgment, underestimating the vessel and its defense capabilities, was a critical mistake that set the stage for their quick defeat. As the pirates continued their approach, the situation grew more tense. But from the perspective of the U.S. Navy, everything was unfolding as planned. The USS Dwight D. Eisenhower, along with its accompanying strike group, maintained a steady course. There was no panic, no rash decisions, only precise, measured responses based on years of training and cutting-edge technology. The Seahawk helicopter remained overhead, its door gunner ready but still holding fire. The machine gun was aimed to demonstrate intent. A warning shot was always preferable to live combat if it could resolve the threat without unnecessary violence. At a distance of roughly 800 yards, the helicopter dropped altitude, clearly positioning itself as a deterrent. The message to the pirates was clear: you are in the wrong place and you should turn back. But the pirates were undeterred. One individual stood up in the skiff holding what appeared to be a rocket-propelled grenade launcher. This was a clear signal of hostile intent. At this point, the helicopter pilot radioed back to the carrier command. Hostile posture confirmed, weapons visible, continuing intercept. The Navy was prepared for whatever might come next. Back on the destroyer USS Gravely, the VBSS teams, highly trained sailors who specialize in boarding and securing vessels, were fully equipped and ready to move. These teams are essentially maritime special forces, equipped with body armor, M4 rifles, flashbang grenades, and other gear designed for rapid, decisive action. Their role is to board suspicious vessels, neutralize threats, and secure any intelligence or contraband. They are the Navy's front line for handling situations like this. The boarding operation began with the launch of two 11-meter RHIBs, boats that can move quickly and maneuver easily in close quarters. The approach was tactical. One team boxed in the skip from the starboard side, while the other blocked any chance of retreat from the rear. The pirates were surrounded with nowhere to run. The sailors ordered the pirates over loudspeakers to lay down their weapons and raise their hands. The atmosphere was tense. Some of the pirates reacted immediately, tossing their AK-47s into the water, surrendering without resistance. Others froze, perhaps overwhelmed by the sudden show of force. For those who hesitated or resisted, the Navy was prepared to act quickly and firmly. Within 30 seconds, the pirates were disarmed, zip-tied, and lying face down on the deck of the RHIB. Their weapons were confiscated and the skiff was towed away to be secured as evidence. Throughout this entire operation, the USS Dwight D. Eisenhower kept moving steadily, never slowing or altering its mission. Aircraft carriers don't need to slow down or stop to handle threats. Their strike group and support vessels do the heavy lifting. This encounter was a textbook example of how a carrier strike group operates. The carrier itself serves as the command center and symbol of power, but it's the combined efforts of the entire group, including destroyers, helicopters, and specialized teams, that ensure security. The pirates had made a grave mistake by targeting what they thought was an easy ship. The pirates, now captured and disarmed, faced the reality of their error. They hadn't just targeted a large ship, they had challenged one of the most heavily defended vessels in the world. The Navy was far from done, though. Neutralizing the immediate threat was just the first step. Following the capture, intelligence gathering became the focus. Every piece of equipment on the skiff was carefully examined. The RPG launcher was bagged and scanned to determine its origin. A satellite phone, if present, was stripped of its components and fed into secure signal analyzers to monitor for any suspicious communications. All coordinates and sensor data gathered by the Seahawk systems were logged and cross-referenced against known smuggling routes, weapons flows, and pirate movements throughout the region, from Mogadishu to Mukalla and beyond. This was not just a one-off raid. The Navy recognized the potential for larger networks and more dangerous threats. On the USS Dwight D. Eisenhower, analysts in the command center were meticulously combing through all available information. They examined thermal footage, radio intercepts, power signatures, and even materials recovered from the skiff. Even the fuel cans were sampled to understand the source and composition of the fuel, which can offer clues about the vessel's origins and supply chains. A particularly suspicious radio frequency stood out during this analysis. It matched chatter that had previously been intercepted near an illegal arms shipment from Eritrea. This connection suggested that the pirates' actions were part of a broader, organized network, far from the random acts of opportunistic criminals that are often assumed. This intel meant that the follow-up response would not be limited to an after-action report. Instead, it became part of a real-time targeting package. Within 12 hours, all gathered data was sent up the chain of command to organizations such as United States Central Command, CENTCOM, Africa Command, AFRICOM, coalition partners, and intelligence fusion centers located in strategic places like Bahrain and Djibouti. The entire intelligence apparatus moved quickly because the next attack might not be as rudimentary as this one. Future threats could involve drones, smuggled man-portable air defense systems, man-pads, or pirates unknowingly acting as bait for larger hidden forces. This mindset, treating every encounter as a potential probe or prelude to a more significant threat, is essential to maintaining maritime security. In this context, the Navy doesn't just swat away individual incidents. Instead, it builds a comprehensive map of the entire network, tracking movements, identifying patterns, and preparing for escalating threats. The pirates involved in this raid were merely the first ripple in a much larger wave beneath the surface. While the immediate threat had been neutralized, the Navy's operational tempo did not slow. Flight operations on the Eisenhower continued as usual, with catapults launching FA-18 Super Hornets into the sky without interruption. Deck crews moved swiftly and efficiently, demonstrating that even significant security incidents do not disrupt the carrier's primary mission. The response to the second skiff is a testament to the thoroughness of the operation. The other boat, which had split off earlier, did not escape either. A Navy drone detected it about 6 nautical miles away, idling suspiciously near a fishing vessel that seemed too clean to be a typical tuna hauler. This raised further suspicions of smuggling or illicit activity. Minutes later, a different RHIB team from the USS Mason, another destroyer in the strike group, was dispatched. They boarded the suspicious fishing vessel and detained 2 more pirates, seizing a laptop and additional evidence. This part of the operation revealed an even larger picture of the regional security challenges faced by the Navy. What began as a straightforward intercept had now peeled back layers of a much bigger network. The pirates, still under detention, appeared to believe they had attacked a simple cargo ship, until a U.S. Marine leaned over and informed them that they had actually targeted an aircraft carrier. This moment of realization was likely sobering, but the entire operation sent a strong message to anyone watching. Attacking a U.S. aircraft carrier is not only reckless, but strategically foolish. The Navy's combined capabilities make carriers the most heavily defended ships on any ocean, supported by entire strike groups capable of overwhelming firepower and rapid response. The Navy's approach to this incident highlights a critical aspect of modern maritime security: overwhelming deterrence combined with precise intelligence gathering and follow-up. Rather than escalating conflict unnecessarily, The Navy uses measured force to de-escalate and then exploits every mistake for intelligence gains. Every piece of recovered equipment, every intercepted communication, and every sensor reading is a potential goldmine of information. This intelligence is invaluable in disrupting smuggling routes, identifying arms flows, and anticipating future threats, allowing the Navy and its partners to stay ahead of increasingly sophisticated maritime criminals. This operation also exemplifies the Navy's broader mission in the region to protect international sea lanes vital for global trade, deter piracy and smuggling, and maintain regional stability. Through a combination of technology, training, and coordinated tactics, the Navy ensures that threats are neutralized swiftly and effectively. The pirates' mistake was not just in choosing the wrong target, but in underestimating the Navy's ability to respond with overwhelming and coordinated force. This operation serves as a clear warning to anyone considering similar attacks. The U.S. Navy is watching, prepared, and ready to act with precision and authority. Following the successful interception and capture of the pirates who attempted to engage the USS Dwight D. Eisenhower, the Navy shifted focus toward the subsequent handling of the detainees and the broader operational implications. Capturing pirates at sea is only the first step. Managing their detention, processing, and legal prosecution involves a complex set of procedures governed by both international law and naval policy. Once the pirates were secured aboard the RHIBs and transported to the destroyers in the strike group, the immediate priority was ensuring safety and security. The detainees were closely monitored and restrained to prevent any further attempts at violence or escape. Sailors trained in detainee operations took charge of providing the necessary supervision, while medical personnel assessed the pirates for injuries or health issues. Although the engagement had been tense, there had been no reported casualties during the boarding operation. The conditions under which detainees are held at sea are governed by strict rules designed to uphold human rights and comply with international maritime law. The U.S. Navy, as part of its commitment to lawful conduct, ensures detainees receive food, water, and basic medical care. This approach also supports intelligence efforts, as detainees who are treated fairly may be more willing to cooperate during interviews. The legal status of pirates captured on the high seas is unique. Under the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, UNCLOS, piracy is defined as a universal crime, and any state may capture and prosecute pirates regardless of nationality or location. This principle allows the U.S. Navy to apprehend individuals engaged in piracy and bring them to justice even if the attack did not occur in U.S. territorial waters. However, the practicalities of prosecution often complicate matters. Many countries lack the legal framework or resources to prosecute piracy effectively, leading to challenges in determining where and how trials should take place. In some cases, the U.S. has cooperated with regional partners in Africa and the Middle East to transfer detainees for prosecution, while in others, detainees have been brought to U.S. federal courts. The U.S. Department of Justice has established specialized units to handle piracy prosecutions, which include gathering evidence collected during operations at sea, such as seized weapons, communication devices, and testimonies from both the detainees and Navy personnel. These prosecutions are complex and rely heavily on meticulous documentation and chain of custody procedures to withstand judicial scrutiny. Following this operation, Navy legal officers began coordinating with federal prosecutors to prepare the necessary documentation for trial. Interviews with the captured pirates provided valuable intelligence not only on the specific incident, but also on broader piracy networks, including supply chains, funding sources, and recruitment methods. One significant challenge for the Navy and legal authorities is distinguishing between individuals engaged in piracy as a profession and those who may have been coerced or forced into participation. Understanding the pirates' backgrounds and motivations is crucial for both intelligence assessment and ensuring just legal outcomes. Beyond the immediate legal aspects, the Navy used this incident to refine its rules of engagement and operational protocols. The boarding operation was carefully analyzed to identify lessons learned, such as communication flow, the timing of warnings, and the coordination between air and sea assets. Such after-action reviews are standard practice and help improve future responses to piracy threats. The importance of intelligence sharing among international partners was also emphasized. The global nature of maritime piracy requires coordination between navies, coast guards, and law enforcement agencies from multiple countries. Through organizations like the Combined Maritime Forces, CMF, based in Bahrain, and regional bodies such as the Djibouti-based Contact Group on Piracy off the coast of Somalia, CGPCS, information flows continuously to help anticipate and prevent attacks. In addition to reacting to individual incidents, the Navy focuses on broader maritime security initiatives that address the root causes of piracy. These efforts include supporting economic development, improving governance, and strengthening coastal law enforcement in piracy-prone regions. While naval operations provide immediate security, long-term solutions require collaboration with local and international partners. Technology also plays a critical role in enhancing maritime security. Advanced radar systems, unmanned aerial vehicles, UAVs, and satellite surveillance enable naval forces to monitor vast ocean areas and detect suspicious activity early. The integration of these technologies into daily operations has increased the effectiveness of pirate interdiction efforts. Moreover, the Navy continues to train and equip its personnel to adapt to evolving threats. Exercises simulate various scenarios, from direct attacks on vessels to more complex maritime criminal activities. Such preparation ensures that when real incidents occur, the response is swift, coordinated, and appropriate. The impact of piracy extends beyond military concerns. Disruptions to shipping lanes can have significant economic consequences, affecting global trade and increasing costs for goods. Merchant vessels have implemented their own defensive measures, such as employing armed security teams and using physical barriers to deter boardings. However, these private efforts complement rather than replace the vital role of naval forces in maintaining open and secure seas. The operation involving the USS Dwight D. Eisenhower demonstrated the capability and resolve of the U.S. Navy to confront piracy threats decisively. It also underscored the complexity of maritime security, involving legal, operational, and diplomatic dimensions. Looking ahead, the Navy continues to adapt to shifting patterns of piracy and maritime crime. While the hotspots around the Horn of Africa remained areas of concern, new regions, including parts of Southeast Asia and West Africa, have seen increased pirate activity. This requires a flexible and global approach to maritime security.